treason, sedition, rebellion. This is the heritage of the American patriot. Those revolutionaries who stood on principle to fight against tyranny no matter the cost. And that spirit lives strong today in the activists and freedom fighters who fight against the authoritarian state. Each in their own way, each with their own mission, united for the cause of
had the
freedom.
idea to run on a platform of fuck the police prior to actually winning the primary.
I mean, AOC is a drama queen and she's full of shit.
They said, you don't get to tell us no, we're the state health department, and I said, hell no.
You brought a freaking guillotine.
People already pushing back in ways that didn't even need any votes to be cast.
I'm not ratting on anybody, and I did what I did, so you're going to have to give me what the law says you have to give me.
You want to make the world a better place? Have some babies and raise them to not be stupid.
Hope I don't get canceled talking to you.
These are the people whose stories I'm here to share. I'm Justin O'Donnell, and this is Subversive.
Man, governments are not going to like this shit.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, activists, anarchists, shit posters, and people of the internet, thanks for tuning in to another episode for Subversive 67. As always, I'm your host, Justin O'Donnell. And before we get started, remember, no matter where you listen, where you watch, whether YouTube, Live, Odyssey, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, or on the air via LRN.FM, you can help grow the show by liking, commenting, subscribing, and sharing with your friends. And if you enjoy the content, you can join our production team and join the insurgency by visiting patreon.com/O'Donnell. Again, that's patreon.com/ODONNELL. And make sure to check out snackswag.com, our sponsor for all your favorite Liberty merch. You can get your official Subversive Podcast branded merchandise over there today. Brand new designs for t-shirts, hoodies, coffee mugs, and more. Again, that's snackswag.com. Check out the awesome new collection of merchandise where you can literally wear your message, your values, your principles, and our branding on your sleeves. If you want to keep in touch between the shows, follow me on social media, join our community Discord channel where you can chat with other fans of the show at any time. All those links can be found on the description of the video or podcast you're listening to, so make sure you give them a visit today. Now, holy heck, has it been a week? It's been a week since the last episode. There's been, sure as shit, a ton of developments all around. Whether it's in world news and World War III breaking out, or U.S. news with the president getting scared by the Easter Bunny yesterday, or Libertarian Party drama. That's always really interesting and entertaining and never really does anything productive. Or now in the wake of Twitter drama that transcends party politics altogether, just between the fight of sanity versus insanity, grasping for control of the American culture war. But no matter what drama we focus on and how we want to discuss it, it's a clown's world and we're just living in it. So joining me tonight to make light of the existence we've been dealt, stand-up Canadian, libertarian activist, Adam Nutter. How are you, Adam?
Yo,
welcome
up,
back to the
Bear?
show.
Thank you, sir, for having me back on.
Oh, it's a blast as always. And I mean, you've relatively stayed out of the fray lately. I know there's been a shit ton of stupid drama going on Twitter and in social media space around the libertarian sphere, especially around the Mises caucus and you and your cohorts in Pennsylvania and longtime party activists like Adam Kakesh. Everyone, it seems like everything's just falling apart in front of us right now.
It's pretty wild. It's also a shitty time to be named Adam in the libertarian scene, let me tell you.
Right. It's wild to see like this close to maybe, I don't know, getting something done. Finally having candidates and campaigns like with drive and passion behind them, not even in a real election year. It's a midterm year going into convention where the party just decides to turn around and eat its own from inside. Like long-standing activists, people who've stood shoulder to shoulder helping start the Mises Caucus years ago to getting kicked out. Welcome back. What the hell is going on? And how did we get there? I don't know.
I don't know, but like, you know, I hate to the whole everyone's a Fed line is like lame, but like, what are you?
Someone's a Fed. Someone has to be a Fed. Like,
dude, for all, especially the cocaine. I mean, I don't know, maybe not crazy for him because he's like been slowly losing it. Like he's been in the middle of the desert just doing shrooms. Like that's not probably good for your mental health. I don't know. Like I don't know.
Maybe he's gone to something the rest of us aren't, because like I've done my fair bit of shrooms before. I've done shrooms in the desert, and like coming out of that was like, hey, well, I see the world in a different way now.
Oh, dude, yeah, for sure. Oh, it definitely opens your shit up. But like, I also didn't break my sanity and then turn on my friends. So like, I don't know. You know,
maybe we're the ones that are wrong.
Maybe, probably not, but maybe, sure.
Like I've gone out of my way to stay out of the fight with Adam and stay out of the fights he's picked. And like at some point, somebody had commented on Twitter, "Has anybody not gotten into shit with Adam yet?" I'm like, me? They're like,
I didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, can you tell him I'm cool? I'm like, I'm staying away from this one. Like, it's not worth me starting a fight with a friend to fix everyone else's ego here.
Well, here's the thing. It's like, first of all, would it have mattered? Like, no, because like a lot of people like in good faith legitimately reached out to him and like via DM, and he would just take a screenshot of that DM and like put it on Twitter and be like, look at this scumbag. And I'm like, I could read what they wrote. Like, you're not tricking me. They were like, hey man, we're worried for you. Are you okay? And they're like, fucking piece of shit, scumbag friend. I'm like, I don't know. He seemed pretty concerned.
Like, yeah, like it's a real shame. Like, and at one point somebody had put up a poll on Twitter. They're like, who's worse, Adam Kakesh, or it was like, I think it was Stacy of all people. I'm like, how insulting is this to like compare the two of them? Like, Stacy was just drama for drama's sake. We've had like, if anyone's the Fed, she was definitely the Fed. But like, Adam has done more for the liberty movement and for liberty in the United States, like as a whole, in the past decade of his activism than almost everyone he's gone after combined. So it's in a weird position.
He is. Oh, but then also, like, it's funny though. Like, as soon as he turned on like the Mises guys and everybody like that, you start to hear people being like, well, he got arrested a lot. I never really saw any charges. Like, that's pretty suspicious, huh? Like, everybody starts to like that starts to come up.
It's not just that he didn't see charges. Like, he was always very meticulous about what he did. He knew he could piss off a cop enough to arrest him, but he knew it wasn't actually illegal.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm just saying. I just find it funny how like everybody's like so quick to like
jump on the bandwagon.
Yeah. Just jump on the bandwagon. It's like, well, either like you're in on it, like either you're in on the fight from the get go, or now you're just being like a fucking cunt. Like, if you're just gonna pick shots, like don't do that. Like that's fucking lame.
Yeah, I mean, real crazy, real weird though. I mean, I don't know if you caught on my own Twitter drama that I had this week. Like, I managed to stay above the fray with the Adam and Dave stuff. I mean, like right at the beginning, I had a tweet that Dave goes like, "What the f- are you talking about?" I'm like, "I'm out. Never mind. I'm like, I'm out of this. Sorry, Dave. Sorry, Adam." But then like, just the funny story here is I have a group chat of friends who just like they send memes and pictures of things that they find are really broken and disheartening in the world. They're like, this is us losing the culture war. Like, fuck this. And somebody sent me a meme, and I'm like, well, fuck, that's child abuse. And I went and retweeted I just tweeted the meme. I didn't care where they stole it from. I found out afterwards they'd taken it from Sal the agorist, who I think Sal is probably just ecstatic that I got all the credit for this one in the end. But I tweeted it and it blew the hell up. I don't know if you saw it or if anybody.
Yeah, no, I did see it, but now I think I liked it too. But now my brain is fried. What the fuck was the meme? I can't remember it now. I 100% saw it.
Meme. It was just like a screenshot of a Reddit post.
Yeah.
It was a screenshot of a Reddit post. Where it like the question is, anyone else having trouble convincing your teen kids to continue transitioning? My 14-year-old daughter, assigned male at birth, has started refusing her estradiol, so I've been crushing the pills and putting it in her cereal in the morning. I'm just not sure why she doesn't want to take her pills anymore.
Right. Okay. So I actually quote tweeted this and said same. I had no shit, which is hilarious.
Because I just posted it and with the comment, this is fucking child abuse and I'll die on this hill.
I agree. But I think this particular post seems trolly to me. As a comment.
Oh, it's 100% fake.
It's a troll.
Found that out afterwards. I didn't care. When it got sent to me, I'm like, that is like the definition of child abuse surrounding.
No, it is. But here's the thing. If you go to those like subreddits, you see a lot of real posts that like mirror shit like this, where it's like not like as severe, obviously, but it's like you're like, hey man, I don't think that's legal. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like this could be like a real fucking. Obviously, this is fucking satire. You could tell. I mean, for sure. But I knew. Oh my god, that's crazy. 4 million impressions.
Yeah, 4 million people, all sorts of mad at me. Like 141,000 people expanded and responded to it. 22,000 people visited my profile. Of those 22,000, I saw like 200 left death threats in my inbox, saying that this was abusing transgender people and I was calling for violence against transgender people. That's how they interpreted this tweet. And it just blew my mind. And it was wild because, like, if this story isn't true, who's it attacking? Okay, like if this story isn't true, if this is a fake story, then who is it attacking?
Right.
I'm saying the people who do this shit are guilty of child abuse.
Right.
If nobody's doing it, then why are you mad about me saying that?
Because it has to do with anything about just even speaking about the community. That's what it is. It's like you just can't. I mean, Dave Chappelle said all this better than we can. So, but like, right? It's like, but he's right. He's like, it doesn't matter if you just mention anything. It's an automatic attack. It's a gang assault. There's zero nuance.
Right. But the wild part to me was like after I posted this, I got fact checked by Reuters. And like Reuters fact checked this.
Dude, you're
Reuters
just a
did
libertarian
whole-
podcaster. It's so funny.
They did a whole article,
It's so
fact
funny.
checked post about parent forcefully medicating transgender child that's fabricated.
Yeah, we know.
Okay.
I
But
have
like
satire.
just
I'm
arguing,
proud of it.
and the whole thing's about my tweet. And then they say Ian Miles Chong retweeted it. I'm like, good
Oh,
for
okay.
you,
Well,
Ian.
he sucks, but yeah.
Well, Ian's not that bad. I talked to
No,
him from
you
time
know
to
what
time.
it is? It's he has some dumb fucking bad takes too, and like
So do we.
Yeah, so do we. It's just that thing of like I see his face, and I'm like, it's a fucking ugly punchable face. And when he has a bad take, I'm like, I fucking hate you because I want to punch him.
Right. And like everybody's guilty of having bad takes, us as well. Like
Sure.
there's nothing there. But like it blows my mind because Ian's account, he has like a couple million followers. He's
Yeah.
a huge Twitter account. He was huge in the alt-right and like the walk
Mhm.
away Dems movement. He only got like a fraction of the visibility I did on
Yeah,
it,
that's crazy.
which blew my mind because like I like Ian. I talk to him all the time, but I'd never seen him take something from me and not blow up. But like it just found it hilarious that Reuters decided to dedicate an entire fact-checking article, including sourcing and doing research to try and prove that this post was fake. When
It's
I
so
never
hard.
contested it, the moment somebody's like, that post is fake, I'm like, yeah, probably, but the point I'm making isn't.
Right. Again, zero nuance. And again, also you made a great point. Well, what as a community then what are you fucking upset with? Okay, if
Right.
this is fake, then shouldn't you be like, well, that's actually not a real thing. So, we don't condone that or whatever the fuck. But instead you're just like, nah, let's kill him. It's
Yeah.
wild to me.
And it's created some kind of weird shitstorm that I don't know how to deal with. And like today at work, I have a Google alert for my own name. It's one of the most fun things I've ever done. Anybody out there, especially if you have a common name, you should Google alert yourself so that anytime your name shows up in the news, you're aware. Had I done this years ago, I might have known that I might get detained at Denver International Airport while there was a Justin Francis O'Donnell wanted for triple homicide in Denver. But I walked into that one blind. But reality is like I've gotten some great stuff. Like I've learned that I'm not the only Justin O'Donnell in New Hampshire. I'm not even the only Justin O'Donnell involved in politics who identifies as a libertarian in southern New Hampshire. Like there's another one who's
There's
run
a
for
less
office
famous Justin O'Donnell in New Hampshire. That's pretty funny.
who runs for office as a libertarian in a different town than me.
It's weird how you guys never crossed paths before.
Right, because he's like weird and an accountant and an autistic guy. Like,
Well, that's
libertarian.
hey man, that's most of what are you talking about? That's like you just
Yeah.
described 40,000 of us.
Yeah. But I've also I struck up a small Twitter friendship over it with Justin O'Donnell, who plays for the Sarnia Sting in the Ontario Hockey League. He got drafted by the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's going to go far. But yeah, no, you set up a Twitter or a Google alert for your own name. It's great.
Dude, there's so Adam Nutter's a pretty rare name, but there's one because it's English. First of all, Nutter's I'm very Italian, but Nutter's English, right? So
Yeah.
which is annoying. But like, so there's no other Adam Nutters in America who are like zero. Like no one who does comedy, no one does entertainment. Like I'm the only one in America, except in England. There's this musician. He's a guitarist who definitely has a slightly bigger following than me. But I have all the Adam Nutter like just handles. I'm like that has to destroy him. Like I have the YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, all of those just say Adam Nutter, and he has like maybe like 1,000 or 2 more followers, maybe more than that, I don't know. But like it's funny to me because he has to be furious.
I own the Justin O'Donnell .everything domain, even though like the .crypto, .eth, .bitcoin ones. The only one I don't own is .com, and the Justin O'Donnell that owns JustinO'Donnell.com is some like wannabe filmmaker who used to host like his video resume on it. And I remember back in 2016, I offered him 5 Bitcoin for the freaking domain, and he said no.
What? You're both assholes.
But he said no back then. But no, my Google alert went off this morning. It said I was in the news. I'm like, oh, cool. Maybe Justin scored a goal in a game last night, or maybe the other Justin did something. The leader of like the alt-right in Australia is named Justin O'Donnell. Those articles are fun as heck to read, but no, I get hit this morning with an article from The Independent in the UK. Reddit post shared by conservatives of proofs of parents forcing gender reassignment is unmasked as fake
We are not
news.
conservatives. It's
Right.
the little. See, this is what I'm saying. This is why they look at themselves as these big journalists. It says libertarian almost everywhere in your profile, everywhere you could look for you. It
Here's
says
the great part.
libertarian.
More than 10,000 people retweeted a screenshot of the post shared by libertarian journalist and former U.S. Senate candidate Justin O'Donnell last week, on top of thousands more.
Dude, by the way, I would have killed for this publicity because I would have just been like, I would have made it so much fun for me.
Well, like I shared it, and like I just screenshotted this. I put it up on Twitter, and like my quick comment question for everybody was like, since when the hell have I been a journalist?
Yeah, for sure. You're not.
Like, if my
Yeah.
shit posting on Twitter is what
Yeah.
qualifies as journalism today, then no wonder the world is falling apart.
Dude, fuck, man, because it's like, it's great.
But the journalist who wrote this for a major publication like the
Major, yeah,
Independent,
huge.
the Independent is not a small paper in England. Like, somebody wrote this for a major news outlet. It did a lot of research. It didn't ever bother to reach out to me.
But no, that they didn't do research. That's the thing. Is like they did the research they wanted to do for it. They're like, we're just gonna find out how we could make this guy look like an asshole, but never once like really look at who you are, what you do, or what you talk about ever.
Right. But like, I'm a journalist now, and so I'm running with. I should change all my profiles to just say I am a journalist.
You should.
I'm wondering if I can get a press pass and just walk into a press briefing at the White House sometime now.
How
because
are you?
The Independent has said I'm a journalist.
How are you any less of a journalist than this guy or chick who wrote this fucking article?
I've never tried to lie about what the quality of my work.
Yeah, dude.
Like,
but it's also great. Like, it's like, fuck, man. I kind like, yeah, that would suck to get like. I mean, not really. I mean, again, I'm not physically afraid of anybody in that community. So like to get death threat, you're like, whatever. but like as a comic who I'm an independent, I'm my own boss, right? Like I can't get fired. I would love that because I would just be like, the Independent is retarded. Like, I can't get fired. Like, it doesn't matter. All I would do is get more of a following. Like, it's it. And the people who hate me already gonna hate me. Who gives a shit?
well, so I think like the more of a following thing. That's like the point I want to get to is like I posted this like at like 2 a.m. one night. I was tired. It was the meme was texted to me, and I didn't think 2 things of it. And I wake up in the morning and it's gone nuts. But like for all the death threats, for all the people I got mad, for all the people that were angry, like I've come to a realization that there is a really perverse incentive right now with social media the way it exists and our like how we structure our communication on social media to be as reactionary and outlandish as possible with whatever you do, no matter what side you're on, because we have people on the left whose sole goal is to cancel anyone that they disagree with on anything minor. And it's any minor transgression, you must be canceled. But in order to cancel you, they have to blow you up so that everyone knows you're bad. Like you could be a nobody, but they have to make you famous overnight in order for them to cancel you and take away your everyday life. But in the meantime, every politically aware individual to the right of Bernie Sanders who cherishes free speech has some cult-like obsession that says they have to support whoever the left is canceling, even if sometimes it's people that deserve to be canceled. And like I started noticing, like for every death threat I got 2 or 3 donations via Venmo or Cash App or Bitcoin through the tip wallet on Twitter. For like every retweet calling for my being canceled or trying to contact my employer, I got somebody messaging me on Patreon signing up for a lower tier. Like,
but that's my point. And like this is why, like, I mean, listen, my advice is if you have like a good job, maybe don't be this guy, right? Because it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. But like for me or like you, or like because I think you're pretty safe. But like someone like me, especially who like I am my own. Those people aren't my fans, right? Like that fan, I'm there. It's not like I'm losing money right? Like it's not like
Right.
my fan base is gonna be like, that's it, man, you crossed the line. They're already following me for a reason. So if I went out of my zone and it shit on something and I got a large retaliation from that crew, well, my crew doesn't care, and that crew already wasn't like me. So nothing's gonna happen, but more people are gonna see that attack, and people who more think like you and I are gonna go, oh, this guy's pretty cool. What's he about? And then come to the podcast, come to my shows, whatever the fuck the case may be. So thanks. Yeah, I would love it. I can't get fired. I don't have a job besides comedy. Like that. I want to make that very clear, people. Like I'm a comic. That's it. So like, come at me.
When was the last time a comedian was successfully canceled? Like,
well, so I was okay.
I mean, they canceled Louis C.K.
Shane.
They canceled Louis C.K. for asking consent.
Yeah, Louis is a good example too. Shane Gillis, the SNL. I granted, like he's doing great. Like he's doing honestly better than he would have done.
Great.
I know, but that initial, he did lose initially a giant. Like he didn't know this was going to go the way it did. Like right, like he could that could have been devastating for him. Like turned out it wasn't, but it could have been. And like they were trying to take away his fucking livelihood. Shane's just a comic. Like he doesn't do anything else. You know what I'm saying? So he would have been fucked.
Is getting kicked off of Saturday Night Live such a bad thing for your career? I mean, Norm Macdonald getting kicked off of Saturday Night Live is how he became a thing.
Yeah, I guess not. I mean, I guess not. But again, but that was a different time. Like in this climate, that could have been like it for him. Like clubs might have been like, you're too risky. But it turns out, good friends around him and a real true club and bookers are like, who gives a fuck? Like come through. Like you're fucking hilarious. Like who cares?
No, I remember Norm Macdonald had written a thing about how he got fired from SNL for not being funny, and they told him he wasn't funny enough to be on SNL, so they had to let him go. And he had a joke about, if I had any other job in the world, I'd have one hell of a lawsuit right now.
Right.
But then, like 10 years later, they invited him to host SNL as a guest host, and he's like, "If I wasn't funny enough to be on the show, how can I be funny enough to host this show?"
Mm-hmm.
The reality is, the show just sucks.
And like they have good bits, of course. Like I'm not gonna sit here and be like, I never left. And no, SNL, dude, I could pick out great SNL bits, but like it just, when you become woke propaganda corporate comedy, you're not funny anymore.
And here's the thing: is like they didn't have to do that. They didn't have to become woke corporate propaganda like when they started going against Trump and everything, because they had precedent for just going after whoever the president was. Right. They had 8 years of going after Bush. They had 8 years of going after Obama. They could have had 4 years going after Trump, and nobody would have batted an eye. They didn't have to go full bore into it.
Yeah, again, you lose everyone in the middle who's like, I just wanted to watch like a sketch show. Like everything's about Trump. Like I'm good. I just want to laugh, dude.
And here's the thing: is like the shit they went after Obama for was far more devastating politically that they went after Obama for, but also funnier. Like, when they went after Obama, they would do a full skit about Obama being a corrupt tyrant who didn't care about Congress and was trying to govern by executive order, and laugh it off when somebody told them it was unconstitutional. And like, but they would do it hilariously. Well, when they went after Trump, it's just all they had was his accent.
That right. They resorted to like legitimate hack jokes, and I'm like, you guys are a bunch of professional comics / writers who should be above the obvious hack joke that anyone's gonna make about Trump. Like if I look at something as a comic, like whatever, I'll say a fat dude, right? The obvious joke is like, you're fat. Anyone could do that. Anyone could do that. But it's our job to be like, well, what's a different route instead of you're fat? Let's start comparing to animals. Let's start fucking thinking about things breaking under them. Let's start thinking about, oh, you can't be lifted. You just start to go around the fray of like, well, what's a different angle? They just went like, Orange Man bad. And this, right, bad. And this is what the news says, and we have to say this is bad for. It's just like the hackiest shit. I'm like, oh, you guys just don't. And also, if you look at like their writers, it's like all young woke comics who are like 22, and they're like, Trump is a racist, and so we should write racist jokes about Trump. It's like, wow, you guys are great.
Who had to make sure they could get assured by management that in their contract, if they walked off the episode with Elon Musk, they wouldn't be fired.
Right. Elon Musk, that fucking KKK member, the autistic
nerd who likes rockets.
who got fucking hair implants because he's a fucking balding nerd is what he was. Like,
Yeah.
And he's some alt-right fucking like lunatic in their mind, dude. It's wild. That's what I'm saying. Like they really looked at Trump like Hitler, and Elon Musk was like his fucking Proud Boy. Like that's how they looked. It's so far from reality. All these fucking white fucking liberal kids who are now again writers in comics who all live in Brooklyn, and they live in Brooklyn because they can afford it because their parents are rich. They've never interacted with a black person ever, but they say you can't make a black joke because that's punching down. And then when you say, hold on, describe what punching down is to me real quick.
I don't care about punching down, punching up. Like
right, but that white liberal kid, right? They'll be like, well, because you're making fun of somebody, that's not. I go, not what? Equal to us in your own words? Because that's what you just said. Because like these white liberal kids are so fucking far. They think they have to stand up for like anybody who's not white because they can't do it for themselves, right. Which is the most racist shit I've ever heard in my fucking life. The white kid from the burbs has to stand up for the fucking Hispanic kid or the black guy because they can't defend themselves. That's the most racist shit ever.
Or change the Hispanic kid's language to tell him he's not using his own pronouns correctly.
The Latinx thing
is Latinx.
Ask any Hispanic guy or chick what they think about that. They'd be like, "That's fucking bullshit."
you can't even pronounce it in Spanish.
Yeah, right. There's no word for it. Or
is it Latinx?
Right. Dude, they all think it's bullshit. All of them. They're all like, "This is nonsense. This is not how our language works. It's male-female language oriented, just like Italian, just like most European languages,
like English."
Yeah.
Like, English is the weird one and where it's not 100% gender oriented.
Yeah. English is also wild. Like English is dumb. Like I don't know. Like the fact that it's our first language is how we can learn English and then we struggle with like Spanish. Like the average American is wild to me. I do too. I never learned.
Like learning side by side. Like I learned another language as a child. Like English is, I can't even say my first language. It's my half language. But I think that gave me a knack for learning languages.
What would you learn as a kid besides English?
Gaelic, and then a little bit of Italian, and like to the point where like I have a knack for languages. I think is kind of weird. Where if you put me in a class, I can't learn shit. Like I'm sitting like, what the hell are they talking about? But like you drop me in Puerto Rico for a week, and I'm fluent by the end.
Well, it's like immersive. It's I mean, it's like a completely different thing. Yeah, dude. That's like, but it's like anything, dude. If I sat people in a room and was like, I'm going to teach comedy. No one's gonna do good, but if like, let's go do open mics. Like, right? It's the same thing. It's like just throwing yourself into it. This is being fucking immersive.
Speaking of mics, you're coming to New Hampshire in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So coming to the show. Excited. I'm excited for that. It's going to be a blast. I've not actually been out to a show at the show. I know Robbie's played there, Dave's played there.
Yeah.
Like I've not actually gone out there for jack crap. It's only an hour away from me. But I know you've been trying to get up here for a while.
Yeah.
And I'm super excited for that. Who's coming with you? You just doing it by yourself?
No. So I'm bringing, well, obviously I'm wearing the hat. My Cult of Us is my comedy podcast. I do with the great Neil Wood. He's who I own Drop Tent with. I'm wearing the hoodie. I'm merching my own self out today. It's our media podcast, stand-up company and stuff like that. So he's going to feature for me. And then I'm bringing out my buddy Blaze Gagakis, who's my opener on the road normally. He's going to host. And then I'm also bringing out my buddy Jesse Pedraza, who's actually our producer on Cult of Us. He's also a comic. And my buddy Andrew Thomas, who's just a good friend of ours. He's also a comic. I'm bringing him up. So it's going to be a fucking good time.
It's only going to be $15 out in Rollinsford, New Hampshire. Everybody should go. I don't have a link. It's a link somewhere, but like, if you're in the area. If you're going to be one of the people that goes, you know what the shell is. Look up the
it's
shell.
going to be a good fucking time. I promise you. Droptent.com/events for tickets. If you guys want to get tickets to that show, they're up there. But go get them for sure. It's gonna be fun. I'm excited. I'm really excited to go headline up there. It's gonna be a good time.
I haven't actually ever seen your stand up. I've just been assuming you're funnier than Dave the whole time. I like
dude. No, it's fucking wild. Like so many people tell me like I don't think Dave's funny. I'm like I don't know why you're telling me that. I'm like I think Dave's funny. Like all of a sudden you think I'm gonna be like like you're doing me like a favor. Like,
I think it might be the style of comedy and like maybe it's a vacuum thing. I've never seen Dave in the wild. I've never like listened to Legion of Skanks. I'm not a big like listen to comedy podcast kind of a guy. No offense.
That's fair.
And like I've never actually seen Dave perform at what wasn't a libertarian event. And I feel like he must have a whole different batch of material.
His specials up on YouTube.
Yeah, you're requiring me to sit through a lot. But like,
Right.
like no offense, but like I'm excited to come see you in person. That's an event. That's an
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Watching
And it's
something
also
on
like
YouTube is like
yeah, no, you're right. And like we would know each other, so it's like it's
Yeah.
cool to actually hang out like in person.
Like
and,
I know
chill all
Dave,
night.
and
Yeah,
I've known
right.
Dave for a long time. Like I've gone to see a couple of Dave's shows, but they've always been at Libertarian events.
Yeah.
And I feel like when he steps into like Pork Fest or an LP convention he's hosting, like the material he pulls out of the bag is like, boom, this is stuff I can't say to the normals. And it's like, I'm going to throw it in the echo chamber. I don't need to worry. This is a cult of mine. They'll laugh at whatever I throw out.
That's
And
okay.
I'm sitting in the back, I'm like, I don't actually find this funny. Like, where's your actual comedy? Like, I don't need every joke to be political.
See,
I don't need this to be a lecture about libertarianism wrapped with a few jokes.
See, that's funny because I'm the opposite, right? Where I just have dick jokes, and like when I'm at libertarian events, sometimes I'll throw in crowd work libertarian jokes because that's just what you do as a
your
comic.
audience,
right? That's what you do as a comic for any event. Like if you're at like a puppy event, you're gonna make puppy like that's just what you do, like to make the crowd be like, oh, this guy is cool, whatever. So like I busted Joe Jorgensen's balls at the last event I did at the Delaware convention. I did the Delaware convention, and like I was talking about the PA convention where we were doing comedy, and she was just doing like a meet and greet next to us during the show, and I'm like, hey man, get out of here. Like get the fuck out of here. Like go in the hallway and do this. You had your time, you fucking bitch. Like you're just doing this loud meet and greet is wild. But like they would get that. Like the Delaware guys got that, right? But like obviously like I can't just tell that joke at like a fucking New York audience. It'd be like, who the fuck's Joe Jorgensen? Like yeah, it's just for you guys. Like
no, but I distinctly remember the first time I ever saw Dave, and I actually don't know if I've told Dave this story, but I should at some point. He was playing at Pork Fest, and I'd never actually sat through one of the comedy things at Pork Fest before. I'd always had better things to do or take or go look at in the woods. But like before Dave's stand up that night at Pork Fest, I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go to stand up tonight, and I'm gonna take a lot of LSD right before I go. Okay. And I was with a few friends, and among the group of friends at that time was Nick Sarwark, who had not taken drugs with me, but he had gone out of his way to spend like a whole hour leading up to the comedy set just making jokes to tell my friend whose first time ever it was on acid that he was going to have a bad time. It's like, you're in for a ride. It was terrible. Nick was a dick, but I thought it was hilarious. And we're sitting in Dave's show the whole time. And all I could think was that, like, Nick was laughing so hard. Nick Sarwark thought Dave, like, was laughing as if Dave's stand-up was the funniest thing in the world. And it was just so annoying while I was high. And I just remember looking, I'm like, I don't find this funny at all. And I'm on acid. Like, how bad is this that I can't find it funny while I'm on acid? Like,
dude, I gotta be honest with you, it is some of like as a comic, it's like the most hurtful thing that you could be told is like, hey man, I don't find you funny. It's like, you don't have to say that. you can just say nothing.
I just thought it was like, I don't know, was it the acid? Was it the Nick Sarwark laughing? Was it the weird thing that Nick Sarwark actually thought he was funny? That's just kind of weird.
It is weird. But like, because like here's the thing, I'm not like some delusional asshole who's like, I understand, like, you don't have to think I'm funny. I understand comedy is subjective. It's not for everybody. I understand some people fucking really think I'm funny. Some people fucking think I'm fucking awful. I get that. That's how comedy is, right? Like, I think Eddie Murphy sucks, and most people be like, you're crazy. I understand, but I understand like his talent, right?
And Robin Williams was a brilliant genius who we'll miss forever.
Yeah. Yeah, like there's like I could differentiate. I could look at comics I don't like who are good, who are quote unquote like, you know, revered, and I could be like, not for me, but I understand why they like them. But then you go
like Dave Chappelle.
Oh, I love Dave Chappelle. I think he's great. but like there's I feel like though the average person or the non-comic fan or non-comic, they might not necessarily like understand that difference. So they'll just come up to be like, I don't like you. And I'm like, I just hurt my feelings. Like, you don't have to say that because that's like a wild thing to say to me.
I do find Dave Chappelle. I think a lot of Dave Chappelle's like allures in his delivery of other people's jokes. Because what I have noticed is that I've thoroughly enjoyed every Dave Chappelle special I've watched. I found them incredible. But then, like within a week of each one coming out, there's a YouTube documentary showing all the people who did the joke first that Dave Chappelle took them from. And they're like not even like nobody's like locals. Like sometimes it's big name acts that he just ripped. The joke
I never
straight off.
heard of Chappelle being a joke thief though.
I'll send you the last one I saw. It was
Yeah, show me that. 'Cause that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's super interesting because like that's like especially that's the number one comic rule, right? Is like
Right.
you don't steal other material. I mean, obviously we know, like, dude, Robin Williams was, by the way, a joke thief. Like that's what I'm saying. Like there, no, I know there are. Not
I don't believe
all
in
of it.
intellectual property. Like I'm a libertarian. I mean, if you guys have watched the banner, if you guys are interested in joining the insurrection, the production team over on Patreon, you can join one of our great friends, Stefan Kinsella, the OG of OGs who hates intellectual property over on the Patreon. So,
By the way, I think that's the only thing he's good on. Otherwise, he's a fucking fat loser nerd. He's a little. I hate Kinsella.
well,
I don't like him.
I enjoy it. It's kind of funny. One of my first ever interactions with Stefan Kinsella, I remember. And I don't think he remembers, or I don't think he realizes it was me that was with at the time. He was speaking at a Liberty Forum up here in New Hampshire. And we had a big banquet dinner, and like he's walking around, he's like, "There's an empty seat at the table." I'm like, "Yeah, come sit with us." And somebody else then comes with this empty seat. Oh no, we're saving that seat for somebody. And Stefan Kinsella's like confused about who's saving the seat for. Like 20 minutes later, Vermin Supreme shows up to crash the party. This is back when he was cool.
Oh yeah, he sucks too. Yeah,
yeah. Because he crashed Liberty Forum to release his dental records, and demand Donald Trump release his dental records. It was actually a funny little bit. He actually brought his X-rays and handed out copies of his X-rays to all the media. But he sits down with us. The Kinsella just went on a tear. But you unwashed hippie piece of shit. Fuck you. I'm like, okay, this is happening.
Okay, I'll tell you why I don't like Kinsella, because he talks down to people. Like he thinks he's better than, and like there was this Twitter interaction where he was talking down, and I jumped because he was being. I cannot even remember. I'm blocked by him now. I can't remember what it was, but he was being a fucking cunt. And I was like, you don't get to look the way you do and talk like that to other men. Like it was just very it was a very annoying thing. And that's a thing that's a pet peeve thing of mine, where it's like I'm all for debate and fucking, back and forth and shit. But like, once you start to talk like degrading to me, I'd be like, oh, I'll fuck you up. Like this is no more anymore about like libertarian philosophy or nap shit. I'm like, no. Now it's two men talking shit, and I know how to fight, and you're a little chubby fucking nothing. Don't forget that. Like I'll fuck your shit up. Like fuck everything else now. I'm like, and that's a pet
I talk
peeve
down
of
to
mine.
people all the time, and like I think
you're a big dude. You can. You see where I'm going with this, bud?
It comes to like whether or not like I know them, like. And like I don't believe in the punch up versus punch down mentality. If I'm going to throw a punch, as long as it hits something, I just don't want to throw a punch and miss. And if that means I have to punch down to throw it, I'll throw it down.
I'm not against punching. No. This isn't a punch up, punch down argument. This is an argument of like it's two men talking, and then everything else falls to the wayside eventually. When it's like, if I see you in person, I'm gonna fuck your shit up. Like that's it.
Sometimes you just need an argument to get through the day. Like I've had days where I've been bored, mindless, and like numbed by reality, and I was like, "What am I gonna do? Like I need something to do to occupy myself. Let's pick a fight with a stranger on Twitter.
Oh, I'm all for
let's do this. Like let's go after a brand today. I got mad on my way to work the other day. I got mad on my way to work today. I stopped at Dunkin' Donuts. I ordered a bagel and a coffee, and the girl gives me my bagel with the cream cheese on the side. And I just sat there in the drive-thru. Petty, I parked to put the cream cheese on the bagel and blocked up the whole drive-thru and said, fuck you. And then sent a tweet to Dunkin' Donuts and saying, like, listen, I'm sorry, but I don't think your employees deserve a living wage if they're too lazy to put cream cheese on a goddamn bagel in the drive-thru.
I don't agree with it. I don't disagree with anything you're saying, by the way.
I changed Dunkin' Donuts corporate policy. Like that tweet got enough traction that Dunkin' Donuts was in my DMs within the hour, offering me free coffee for a month and changing corporate policy.
That's great. Okay, can you do this for me then? Send out this tweet. I did it on the go order, and I just get a regular cappuccino, and I ordered a chocolate chip muffin, and I show up. And it's bad when like the guy looks at you and is like, "Are you Adam?" I'm like, this can't be good. Like you guys are waiting for me to come in here. Like something's fucked up. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, hey man, we're out of chocolate chip muffins, so I just gave you a chocolate donut. was like, oh, those two things aren't close to the same. So it was like, I was like, I don't know why you thought that was an acceptable thing to do. And I was like, okay, cool. Are there other muffins? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, that probably would have been
Blueberry would have been like
a closer go-to, right?
Yeah.
a closer leap, like another muffin in the same family, not a chuck and chuck. I'm like, you guys don't deserve $15 an hour for sure.
Like, you don't deserve $8.95 plus tips.
Yeah, it was just blown away. He was like, it's a chocolate donut, right?
Yeah.
He's like he was like, yeah, like I did it. So, I was like, you did it.
Like, not everyone deserves a living wage, but and not everyone deserves to be treated nicely on Twitter. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I think Stephen is a great guy. He's like, just don't engage him on things you don't want him to engage him on. Just like stick to IP.
Yeah, he's great on that, and I think he sucks on everything else. That's what I think about Steve Kinsella.
Which is like, I think Vermin Supreme's great on like ending the war, and I just won't acknowledge his opinions on anything else.
I think he's a detriment. I've said this before publicly. I think he's a detriment to like just the party and stuff because like people,
the
it's
party,
like
yes, the movement less so. I thought he
Sure.
was a huge asset to the Liberty movement when he was doing rogue shit with.
Sure, I agree with that. But I think I think he's just a fucking unfunny cunt, honestly. And like he thinks he's like witty, and he's not. Like he's just unfunny. Whatever. I'm biased. Whatever. He's unfunny.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of hard to be unfunny in today's political climate as well.
Yeah. So what does that say about him?
With material just kind of raining down, like, oh my God, how does somebody not have a joke to make when you have Joe Biden being scared of the Easter Bunny?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's just hilarious.
Like my favorite comment, it was Clint had the comment, he put this on Twitter, when you realize that a heroic dose of LSD and permanent state of dementia is a very thin line.
Hey, actually, you know what? I'm sticking up for Biden now. That's a good point. If you were fucking cracked out either by drugs or just naturally cracked out, and you saw giant Easter bunnies walking around, you'd be like, "Yo, so right now."
Here's what makes it even better. Did you hear the story behind the Easter Bunny stunt?
No.
All right, they're having the big Easter egg hunt on the South Lawn at the White House, like they do every year. Big freaking Dachshund Parade nonsense.
Yeah.
Biden's working the rope line, talking to people, like shaking hands, kissing babies, thing like you're supposed to do if you're in that position. And some woman strikes him up in conversation because she starts asking him questions. And Biden, being Biden, not knowing how to not answer questions, just starts answering questions. And she started apparently asking him about sensitive details regarding troop policy in Afghanistan after the withdrawal. And he started to answer her. And just started to say shit about intelligence and troop operations in Afghanistan. And the bunny, the person dressed as a bunny, happened to be somebody from the press department at the White House, was trying to get his attention. Like, stop, no, you're not allowed to talk. And shepherded and pushed him away from the line.
That's so funny. I thought you were going to say it was a Secret Service agent in the bunny costume.
No,
and he just fucking tackled the reporter. That was awesome.
Well, like the bunny jumped up between Biden and the woman, starts waving her hands in his face and saying, "You can't talk about this. Go."
That's so funny, dude. He's probably like, "Oh, giant Easter bunny, punch!" Like it lays out the Easter bunny.
That might have been the only thing that would make it better. Imagine Joe Biden trying to punch the Easter bunny.
Dude, I could see that. I could 100% see him having a moment and just fucking double takedowning an Easter bunny or trying to. As an old man.
No, I'd be more surprised if he tried to sniff it.
Well, no, I'd be less surprised. That sounds like his usual go-to. Yeah, this is what he does.
It's just like the fact that the White House had to dress a press correspondent as an Easter bunny just to get close to Biden because the press staff knew that he would leak information to just randoms at the rope line if there wasn't someone there babysitting him.
That's the weirdest tale. They're like, you have to physically dress like a rabbit and just follow him around and just throw eggs if you have to. I don't know. Just figure it out. Like, just don't let him talk about Iraq or Afghanistan, please.
And it makes me wonder, what were they trying to cover up?
Yeah. Right? What were they trying to cover up?
I honestly think, there could be a net benefit to a Biden presidency. And one of the biggest benefits of the Trump presidency was the fact that it was so goddamn hilarious, but also so transparent. Like, there was not a single moment of any given day that we did not know the president's mood. We did not know what Trump was thinking or feeling. And that was like really reassuring. And like the day that Trump got banned from Twitter, like he still had like a few weeks left as president.
Right.
And like they banned him from Twitter, and like you could feel like the heartbeat of the entire world just stop and like switch to panic mode. It's like, well, now we don't know. Like now we don't know what the guy with the nukes is thinking.
Right.
Like at least before we knew what he was thinking. It was
Dude,
terrible, horrifying, scary shit, but we knew what it was. Like I wish they just made Biden give his own press briefing every morning.
Dude, he's probably just thinking of Peeps jumping over a fence, dude. That's what he's thinking of, like all the time. Like, he's not thinking of new codes. He has no idea what the fuck's going on. Did you hear when after you get that speech, Jill was like, "Wave." Did you see that?
No.
His wife, yeah, like they were out on the balcony, or whatever the fuck, and like they were all waving, and he's just like staring out, and she's like, "Wave," because the mic was still kind of hot. So fucking goddamn, I hate them. I hate Dave Brady. They were just
Dave
like,
Brady in the chat says Adam's not funny. That is all. The road to Providence has some issues.
How dare he?
But no, do you imagine how great it would be if Biden just was forced to give his own press briefing every morning?
Oh, it's why are they doing like giving those briefings like on the stages? Isn't that weird? You ever see like those pictures of like
they got a social distance, man?
It's so weird. It's so fucking weird. It's funny watching the entire corporate press go after a president to go from that to covering for a president. It's like a complete 180. There was zero middle ground. It was such a hard flop where like you saw it in real time. You're like, whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah, especially when they had to do their 180 on COVID stuff, like shit they went after Trump for. They didn't have to defend saying, no, the science changed.
Oh yeah, when Trump banned the travel, and then Biden banned travel, and like, no, you understand, it was imperative now. Now it's not it can't be racist. If guy, I don't know if you know this, but we're Democrats. So
speaking of Democrats, Democrats and their love and stuff. The one other important thing we didn't even cover yet. I don't know how we forgot about this. Happy Waco Day.
Oh, yeah. Happy Murder Day. Yay.
It's the 29th anniversary of the United States federal government murdering 54 men, women, and children for the charge of mistreating the children.
Yeah. It's but by the way, like the whole Waco thing, it's like it's such a good example of like obviously not trusting government and all that shit, but also like Kokesh was fucking kids, so like not a great
Koresh.
Kokesh, Jesus Christ, sorry,
Koresh.
You said
sorry, Kokesh twice.
So I did say Kokesh. I'm so Koresh. Sorry, David Koresh. Sorry, was banging kids, and it's like, yeah, it's not great. That's always not a great example within the example. Like, what I'm saying? I wish he wasn't. It would have been so much better.
I mean, how old were they though? Were they actually kids, or were they the same age as Tom Wood's girlfriend?
That counts as kids. So 15 counts for me. This is me. I think they were like around the teens though, but still not cool.
Yeah. It's so cool when Tom Woods does it though.
Hey, I was out of that too. That's all I'm gonna say. I think out of the Kokesh stuff, I was out of the Tom Woods stuff. I was out of all that stuff. All right. All I'm saying is, if you bang a 15-year-old, not cool.
Not cool, but like wood chippers should be privatized. They shouldn't be an arm of the government. The ATF should be nothing more than a convenience store.
Yeah, but don't bang 15-year-olds. Just gonna clarify.
Even banging a 15-year-old doesn't mean you deserve to have your entire compound burned to the ground. So
No. That's
selfies with the wreckage.
That's my point.
After.
That's 100% my point. I was like, it's such a good bad example of like something that should have been such an obvious, but then gets fucking nobody talks about that anyway. It's wild how like no one cares about that. Like again, the average person is like, oh yeah, Waco's a thing that happened. It's like, yeah. But like you can see the skeleton of children in like photos. Like, does this bother you guys?
You can see selfies taken by people who would later be nominated to be director of the ATF. posing gloriously.
I heard that
over the
wasn't.
wreckage.
I heard that wasn't him.
He was involved in the operation. Does it really fucking matter?
No,
if it was
it
him in the
doesn't.
selfie.
Not really.
It's like we're back to the whole fake fabricated news thing.
Yeah.
If like the underlying point makes a point that's accurate,
Yeah, you're
does
right.
it matter if it's fake or not?
No, because he was there, so it's irrelevant. Yeah. It's like he was. It's like, oh, sorry, he wasn't doing the shout out pose on the body. He's like he was still there. Like who gives a fuck? Yeah.
Right. It's like I don't care if that particular person on Reddit wasn't force feeding their kid hormones.
It's the point.
If somebody is, they should be called out for it.
Right.
And I don't care that David Shipman wasn't the one posing for a selfie in the wreckage of Waco's burning bodies. His employees were, and he was in the vicinity when it was happening.
Dude,
and allowed it to
such
happen.
A wild fucking. Imagine being like, yo, get a shot of this, and then like get a shot of this, and he's like, like that's this pose is like.
Honestly, like the crazy part is like since World War II, do you know how the majority of war crimes have ended up being discovered and prosecuted?
Because we put them out ourselves.
We took selfies.
Yeah.
Like,
Abu Ghraib.
Abu Ghraib was all selfies of the people doing it. Like, with the exception of the ones Chelsea Manning released when she hacked footage and stole footage.
Right.
Everything else was released by the people who did the war crimes because they were bragging about it.
Never. Yeah, that's why people don't film your crimes, stupid. Like, don't ever film your crimes. And also, if you're going to commit felonies or treasonous things or anything major, make sure the people you're dealing with will die with that secret. Like,
well, the worst was like, and I get it, like a lot of these kids, like they're like Southern kids, they're like strong patriotic backgrounds. They've been brainwashed by the military. They think they're doing the right thing for America when they're committing these war crimes, and they think their friends and family are going to be proud of them for doing them. What about the Marines that posted the video of them punting puppies off a cliff? Nobody likes punting puppies off a fucking cliff.
No, right? It's like I want you to die. Actually, like if I get violently angry when like I hear like animal deaths and shit like people killing animals because I'm like they can't defend themselves. Like they're it's a poor like we have a little little dog, you know what I'm saying? And like if someone just hurt our dog, like I'd be furious. Like he's a little defenseless animal. Like imagine just some grown adult just smashing some fucking like seal skull in with the hammer and being like, that's cool, right? Like you not wanting that guy to die. I just get so it's the same thing with kids, right? It's like the same. It's like they can't protect themselves. So it's like we should, as adult men, especially living in society, we should be the protectors of things that can't defend themselves. So I just get it's a very, very violent pet peeve I get.
I think I get it, but like it also goes back to like the women's place on the battlefield because the men have these compulsions.
Yeah.
It's not that a woman is not able to handle herself on the battlefield. I've known plenty of women in the military who are more capable than a lot of the men I knew in the military. It's the fact that I don't know very many men who could handle a woman being on the battlefield without being willing to throw away the mission to save the woman.
Well, yeah, wasn't that also like the reason for the gay thing initially?
No, the gay thing was just pure and utter propaganda, like hatred of gays. Like that was straight up homophobia. Like, man, there have been gays serving in the military since ancient Rome, and it's never been a problem.
Okay, because no, I thought it was like that was also the reason. I really did. I thought it was like if you had two openly gay dudes, like just loving each other, they'd be like no, Billy, and I thought that was like the reason, or one of the reasons anyway. Not also for the others and other stuff, not just that.
No, that's one of the points that I think with Jeremy Kaufman's "War is Gay" video glossed over, and I think a lot of people missed a lot of the points being made in the video when it was just got clouded up in outrage and the hundreds of thousands of people that were offended by it on Twitter.
Yeah.
Is one of the most brilliant like subterfugal marketing pieces I've ever seen, because like he's talking about war is gay, but like the reality is look at the history of gender politics in the American military industrial complex just since like the 1960s, like, and the evolution of how the gay gender politics like wing of leftism has taken over even the military industrial complex. Like we talk about them getting mad at me on Twitter for making a joke about child abuse. They've taken over the military industrial complex over the last 50 years. Like during Vietnam, If there was any hint you were gay, you were discharged and kicked out of the army. And so people were using that as a draft dodging technique just by claiming to be gay and getting out of service in the military. But then you end up going with Don't Ask, Don't Tell, to the point where like Obama repealed Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and gays could openly serve in the military, to now like the U.S. military is openly running ads trying to recruit LGBTQ people because there's a diversity quota within the armed forces now. And like we can't go to war unless we have enough genderqueer drone pilots to support the infrastructure.
Dude, I 2-3 weeks ago, maybe, I don't know, there was like trans Activision Day, not Activision Day. That's a video game company. It was like Trans Day of something. I don't remember what it is. I'm sorry, but like, the Air Force was like we're proud to show like Colonel so and so like for who's our for openly trans. First of all, I love Jacob. That's his bit I do with Jacob and I. Jacob and I love each other. That's a bit we do. We openly hate each other on Twitter as a bit. We love each other. It's a joke. But and I was like, I remember quote tweeting the Air Force was tweeting being like, you know, like what this is really saying is we don't care who you fuck, what you cut off or not, as long as you like to bomb innocent brown babies overseas, we're cool with what you like. That's all they care about. It's like you want to kill indiscriminately and not question it. Come on over.
That's it's the new age of military, and the reality is like it is a cover-up, and it's the greatest cover-up in history because the military grasping onto these gender politics with minority quotas for military units and minority hiring, diversity hiring requirements for military contractors, and like ganging up the war machine. Like as a result, it distracts people from the fact that the war machine is spending trillions of dollars of their hard-earned tax money that's stolen from them every year to kill innocent people around the world. Like it's a distraction, and it's the most effective distraction in history, and it's the most necessary distraction the U.S. government's ever grasped onto, because what they did is they took a subversive, underground minority rights movement and co-opted it to further the agenda of the military-industrial complex and global domination.
Yeah, it's pretty brilliant. It's like Dave Smith says all the time, and you know, people are like, well, Dave, if you ever run, you know, people will pull up videos of you on Skanks, your comedy, and be like, you know, and he's right in what he says. He's like, well, those are just jokes, and I'll point out true crime, and he's right. But what I always go is, yeah, but Dave, no one cares about the truth. They're just gonna latch on to the things you said, and like, yes, I agree with you, and you are. He's 100% right in what in the ideology behind that, and that's how it should be. We all agree with that the jokes don't matter. It should be, oh, let's track where the killing is and where the money is. But it's not, unfortunately, because they, just like the left did a brilliant culture grab with Hollywood, which I always say, like, they snuck in to Hollywood because the right always looked at Hollywood and entertainment as fucking dumb. Like, oh, it's not important. It's who gives a shit. And the left was like, thank you. We got it. And then they're like, we're going to push our agenda through. And you guys are fucking way behind that curve now. No chance you're getting in. And there isn't. They're out forever. And now they're trying to fight back, right? You see like right-wing conservative, like the Blaze trying to make like media companies. I'm like, yeah, you're doing fine, but you're not really. Like, it's too late. Like, you guys fucking lost. Like, you lost that. We, as middles, you know, libertarians lost that shit. Like, it's fully left. So
I'll tell you who can make a comeback, and there's low-hanging fruit out there. Metro-Goldwyn owns the rights to this movie, but I think whoever comes up with a high-value production remake of Logan's Run, and I'm not talking like a reboot. I'm not talking like Rian Johnson reimagining or fucking Star Wars reboot, Star Trek reboot level like redo. I'm talking you do a shot-for-shot, scene-for-scene script remake of Logan's Run and just use updated graphics and CGI to make it a good movie. Whoever does that's going to take back sci-fi from the left.
Why do you think so?
Because it's one of the most libertarian movies ever made.
Sure.
It's one of the best scripts and best stories ever told in film. And it just had terrible production value, so everyone forgot it ever happened.
Yeah, but dude, I mean, you think one movie is gonna wake up that many fucking well-made movies? It's gonna wake up that many people in the
Absolutely.
Middle? I don't know, dude. I think that, I mean, but that one movie isn't gonna outweigh all of Hollywood's power and money.
No, but it's gonna get somebody else a foot in the door. If they can take the chance to do it. Now, I do know somebody who's currently working on trying to remake Atlas Shrugged and The Fountainhead. Problem is, they're going to be branded as Atlas Shrugged and the Fountainhead, so nobody's going to fucking watch them who's not already a libertarian.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah. That's the problem with a lot of that stuff, though, right? Is like, I don't know. No one knows that shit but us, and like and we're already trying to put out more to the mainstream outright, and we already see how hard that is. So it's like, you want to watch this movie? No. The average person is like, no, I don't at all want to watch an 1.5-hour movie about that. That's the problem. I think Logan's Run would be cool.
Logan's Run would be great. And anybody who's a fan of Logan's Run, I just break their heart when I point out that Logan's Run came out the same year as Star Wars: A New Hope.
Wow. So 70 fucking one?
Right, but just compare the production value and special effects next to each other.
Oh yeah, it's right. Yeah, yeah.
In Logan's Run, you can see the wires. All right. It has been fun. It has been a great conversation. I'm looking forward to you coming up to the show. Give your plug one last time. Where can everybody get tickets? Where can everybody find more about you?
Yeah, man. On the screen. So everybody watching, go to there, droptent.com/events for tickets. April 30th is again, that's what Justin's talking about, up in New Hampshire at the Shell in Rollinsford, which is right next to Portsmouth, I believe, right? So it's like right there, I think.
20 minutes. You're right on the seacoast, next to Maine.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So come on out, April 30th, one show, 8 p.m. Again, it's me, myself, and I have my 4 buddies with me. So it's going to be a fucking great time. I promise you, it's going to be a killer show. Everyone's going to laugh. You guys are going to love it. Coming out to that. And then again, I'm on the road and also in PA a lot. So just check me out on my social media at AdamNutter on Twitter, on Instagram. And again, I have a bunch of shows in May too, but all I really give a shit right now about is April 30th. Come on out. Go buy your tickets.
Your first time in New Hampshire?
Events. Yeah, my first time in New Hampshire.
You coming back up for Porkfest this summer?
We're talking about it. Yeah, it's in the works. Maybe if the comedy thing happens, I'm coming up. Yeah, yeah. So everybody coming out. Go listen to the Porcupine. Go listen to Cult of Us. Sorry, YouTube.com/AdamNutter. YouTube.com/Cult of Us.
Everybody give Adam a follow. Check out droptent.events. Droptent.com/events. Get your tickets. I'm looking forward to it. If you're in New England, if you're in Southern Maine, anywhere in New Hampshire or Massachusetts, just come out to the show. It's a great time. It's a day trip. It's going to be fantastic. I know I'm going to go shooting that afternoon with some friends. We should link up, see what time you're actually getting in town before the show.
We're getting there like 5 or 6.
Oh, we've got machine guns.
Well, it's a 6 hour. It's a 6 hour drive for us.
I know.
And like we weren't gonna come Friday because like nah. So I was like, we leave at 9. It's like still we're getting up there like fucking 5.
All right. Hey, well, until next time, everybody, be free. Thanks again for tuning in and joining us tonight. Make sure you hit that like button and leave a comment below to let us know your thoughts. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit that big red subscribe button on YouTube and turn on notifications to get alerted every time we go live. If you enjoyed this content, you can join our production team on Patreon by following the link in the description. And don't forget to follow on social media and join our community Discord channel by following the links in the description as well. The best part of all of this is the community that we're building and growing. So go ahead and join us. And thanks once again to our awesome sponsors and patrons for making all of this possible. And if you can't catch the show live, you can always catch it the next day on YouTube, Odyssey, Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Breaker, and wherever else you listen to your favorite podcasts. So until next time, everybody, be free.